All right, so let's talk about the exciting topic of habit forming, building good habits, healthy habits, a habit of programming, of coding, making it part of your daily routine. Now, I know that this is a very exciting topic to talk about, so let's jump right into it. Now, you know what is exciting? Being able to travel, being able to have new experiences, being able to try new things, being able to explore and have an adventure, and being able to create what's called a bucket list and check off a lot of those things. That is exciting. But how do we get there? Well, the reality is if you want to have those experiences, if you want to be able to do things that are very difficult for the average person to do because of time constraints, you got to be productive, you got to build habits, you have to have systems, and you have to find a way to be motivated, and even more importantly, how to do what needs to get done when you're not motivated at all. And this reminds me of a saying, a quote from Jocko Willink, and he says it a lot better than I do, but he says, discipline equals freedom. Yeah, he says it a lot better than I do. But the reality is, it really does equal freedom, because if you want to be able to have these experiences, unless you win the lotto or come from a crazy amount of money and you don't need to work or do anything, you're going to have to earn a living, right? You're going to have to make money. All these experiences cost money, and they cost something even more valuable than money, and that's time. Time is our most valuable asset. It's the one thing that we cannot get back. If you waste a minute, if you waste an hour, if you waste a day, you don't get that time back. Now, what does this mean for coding? What does this mean for programming? What does it mean for developers and software engineers? Well, if you want to build a habit of coding on a daily basis, you have to code on a daily basis. And at first, it's going to be hard, especially in the beginning. You're not going to want to do it. You're going to feel unmotivated. You're going to feel like it's very difficult and it's challenging. And even if you're excited about it, and even if it's something that you're really passionate about doing, it can quickly get very hard to maintain in terms of that excitement, that energy. You know, coding is about solving problems, about finding a solution. And that takes time. That takes a lot of effort. You know, we crave instant gratification. We want things fast. We want things immediate. And when we don't get them as fast as we want them, we kind of get bored of it, or we kind of just push it aside, or something else just grabs our attention. And that's the thing. It's all about attention grabbing. You know, every day we have millions of things that try to take away our attention, whether it's 1 minute here, 1 minute there. It eats away at our time. And that's why I think nowadays building habits, building good habits, is very difficult to do. Because we have to fight that craving that we have that says, you know, check your emails. You don't know what came in. It's going to be very important to check it now. You have to check it right now. Or go on Instagram or go on TikTok, or, you know, see what's happening on social media. You got to stay up with the current events. You know, you got to see what everybody else is doing with their lives. And then, you know, what happens? You start saying, oh man, they're having an amazing life. Because, you know, everybody puts their best face forward for the most part. And you start comparing yourself and like, oh my God, I want to have that life. I want to do what they're doing. I want to have those experiences. And again, a lot of the times, that's a very edited and filtered experience that you're seeing. It's not the daily norm for most of these people, but you see a very edited version of their experiences. And then we compare our everyday lives to that. So the whole entire concept of being a productive programmer, having good systems, having good habits, it starts with taking control of your time and replacing the habit of checking your email probably like 50 times a day, or going on social media for hours per day, with spending more time coding, programming, learning, researching, debugging, going through the process of becoming a better coder. And over the past decade, there's been a big movement of an hour of code. Just do 1 hour a day and you'll see improvement. And that is true. And I did a video recently, I think it was a previous video, that talked about how long does it take to learn how to code? And then how long does it take to master code? And you quickly find out that an hour a day, you know, it'll get you started. You know, it'll get you on the road, on the path of being a coder. And I mentioned the fact that, you know, it's like poker, right? You can learn the rules of poker in 5 minutes, but it takes a lifetime to master. When it comes to chess, it takes a little bit longer to learn the rules, because you have stuff like en passant, and that, you know, that trips people up in the beginning. And then you have to learn the openings, you have to learn the middle game, you have to learn the end game. And it seems like over the past 2 decades, chess has become very robotic. And I guess that's because, you know, AI. Wait a minute, AI wasn't invented in the past 1.5 years by OpenAI with ChatGPT? No, it's been around for a very, very long time. Longer than you probably realize. I have another video on that as well. Let me get some coffee here. So you realize that it takes a little bit longer than an hour a day, but the whole entire concept of just an hour a day of code or an hour a day of doing most things, it's about getting started. It's about identifying a block of time that you could dedicate where you could focus and have quality time in that endeavor. And with coding, since you have to think so much, that really means you have to find a way to eliminate the distractions, to silence the world, to turn off your notifications, to not jump on the TV, not turn on Netflix or Disney Plus or HBO Max or whatever, but to really focus for that 1 hour where you're getting started and making coding on a daily basis a habit. And then once you get into that flow, I definitely recommend that you dedicate even more than an hour a day, because in reality, like I spoke about in another video, if you want to get really good at coding, if you want to be a really good programmer, it takes a lot of effort. So I recommend that you quickly start getting into 2 to 3 hours a day. And then even from there, get into coding and programming and studying and researching and learning. Commit about 4 or 5 hours per day towards that. And it might be hard, but you got to think about it like this. How much time do you spend every single day on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, on Facebook, on any social media website, checking emails, watching TV, or just sitting around and doing nothing? You take all that time together, you add up all that time, and you're gonna see it's probably gonna equate or amount to about 5, 6, maybe even 7 hours of your day. Now, what if you say, all right, I'm gonna take 4 hours of that time. If it's 7 hours, I'm gonna take 4 hours of that time, and I'm gonna use it to get better at coding. What can that do for you? Where will that take you? I'll tell you this much. If your goal, if your desire is to be a better programmer, you'll get there a whole lot faster. In 6 months, you could achieve what the average person will take about 2 to 3 years if they just spent an hour a day of code. But it all starts with building the habit, starting off at that 1 hour, but then quickly elevating that to 2 to 3 hours and then 4 hours per day. And the way you do it is obviously not all at the same time. The way you do it is by breaking it up into chunks, right? So you have your morning session, you have your afternoon session, then you have your evening session. And then maybe throughout the day, you'll take 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there, where you'll just quiz yourself. Like, especially in the beginning, it's very easy, to do this. You take notes. I definitely recommend using something like OneNote or something similar to that. There's a bunch of different apps that are very similar. And just put in some definitions of different types of coding concepts, like what is a function, or what is a variable, or what is an array, what are data structures, what are algorithms, definitions. And then in there you could put in code examples, and you could take a look at the code and you can analyze it. You could spend 15 minutes here and there throughout the day and make that part of your game, make that part of your day. It'll end up being a very good habit that within a year, you'll see will have tremendous rewards. And speaking of rewards, you can try a reward system. Maybe you like chocolate. And if you like chocolate, I like chocolate. I like dark chocolate. But if you like chocolate or whatever it is that you like, get 30 small pieces of that. Put it in a jar. And then every day, make it a reward that if you accomplish your goals for the day, in terms of the amount of time you want to spend studying, researching, coding, and learning, then at the end of the day, you take a piece of that chocolate and you reward yourself. At the end of 30 days, hopefully, that jar will be empty. And then it's at that point that you're gonna know that you accomplished your goals for the month. And then you're gonna have to fill up that jar again, right? The essence of it is that you wanna reward yourself for accomplishing your goals, for building a better habit and making it consistent, because that's how you build your habits. It's about consistency. You start small, you're consistent, you set clear goals, you reward yourself, you remove the barriers of distraction like social media and email. And then everybody's different, but they say it takes about 30 days to build a new habit. If you do this for 30 days, you're more likely to develop it as a habit than not. Maybe it takes you 60 days of doing it. At least you're getting started. And that's the ultimate goal, to get started, to get moving, and then to finally get to experience the things you want to experience in life. Being able to travel, being able to go to the best restaurants, or stay at the finest hotels, or backpack across Europe, or visit South America, travel the US. And all of that is possible, but it all goes back to the concept, or as Jocko Willink says, discipline equals freedom. I know the whole entire topic of being productive and Start building healthy habits and take control of your life and be motivated when you're not. It's not the most exciting thing to talk about, but it's probably the most important thing to talk about. And this is something that's always on top of my mind. Where will I be in the next 6 months? 6 months from today, will I be in a better place? Or will that time just pass me by? And again, that time is something you never get back. So my goal for this video was to chat with you about being a productive programmer, a productive coder, and about building a habit of coding every day. Again, just start small, but then quickly elevate that time. Take it from 1 hour to 2 hours, from 2 hours to 3 hours, and ultimately make it 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day. And like I always try to remind people, it's not about just clocking in the time. It's about making it quality time as well. Make sure to turn off the distractions, turn off the notifications, get yourself into the zone, get yourself into the flow of coding, of thinking like a programmer. We are what we do on a daily basis. If you code on a daily basis, then you're a coder. If you program, you're a programmer. And by the way, what's the difference between a coder and a programmer, and a developer and a software engineer? Well, that's the topic of another video. And if you want to hear about that, then make sure to subscribe. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any thoughts or comments, leave them down below. And as always, thanks for watching and happy coding.